As a corporate slave, the person I envy the most is the CEO's younger brother who sits at the desk next to me. My base salary for a 997 work schedule is $3,000, while he gets a base of $300,000 for doing nothing. He never has to please stupid clients. Even if he splashes red wine in an investor's face in public, his CEO's sister will only make me take the blame for him. But one day, the Gu family discovered that Gu Mingyu was not related to them by blood. I, Jiangzhe, am their biological son. My friend advised me not to go back. That kind of doting family will only think you shouldn't have appeared. They could never love you. Besides, your sister is the ultimate brother con. I wave my hand. We're all adults. Who gets a ticket to a wealthy family to fight for something as laughable as love? If the Gu family is willing to accept me, I'll get along with them just fine. But if they dare give that fake a single share of my inheritance, then I'll tear the sky down for them. Jiangzhe, I need this file in my inbox before midnight tonight. Also, go clean up the mess from Mingyu's project last week. The client is very unhappy. Oh right, my brother's new sports car needs to be broken in. After work, take it for a couple of laps on the city expressway, fill it up with gas, and then drop it back at the villa. At the desk, a woman in a high-end custom suit with exquisite makeup arranged my work, one task after another, in a commanding tone. Her name is Gu Yao, my direct supervisor, and also my nominal sister. Of course, this title of sister only exists in the company gossip groups. She is the CEO of the Gu Corporation, and I am just a corporate slave under her, with a base salary of $3,000, barely surviving on overtime pay and perfect attendance bonuses. Our only connection is her precious younger brother, Gu Mingyu. That worthless bum who shares an office with me, but never has to work, who only knows how to play games and chase girls all day, and still takes home a base salary of $300,000 at the end of the month. And I am the one who specifically cleans up his messes. I nodded numbly, took the stack of files thicker than a brick, and said nothing. Seeing how obedient I was, a hint of satisfaction flashed in Gu Yao's eyes, which then turned icy again. Remember, Mingyu is my only brother. Anything concerning him is more important than your life. After speaking, she turned and walked away on her high heels without looking back. I watched her back, so angry I had to laugh. Blood rushed to my head, and my temples throbbed. Only brother? Not for long. I dug my nails into my palm, and the sharp pain instantly sobered me up. I picked up my phone and opened an unread text message. The sender was an unknown number, but the content was enough to stir up a storm. Mr. Jiangzhe, hello. We are the legal representatives of Mr. Gu Yuanshan. Regarding the matter of you and Mr. Gu Mingyu being switched at birth 25 years ago, we hope you can contact us as soon as possible. I had received this message for 3 days. At first, I thought it was a scam, until the other party sent a picture of me as a baby in a maternity test report with my mother. The report showed that I, Jiangzhe, and the chairman's wife of the Gu Corporation, Zhao Wenjun, had a 99% probability of a parent-child relationship. I am the real son of the Gu family, and that Gu Mingyu, who Gu Yao cradles in the palm of her hand, is just an imposter who has usurped my place. My phone vibrated. It was a WeChat message from my good friend, Wang Bin. Zhou, have you made up your mind? Are you really going to reunite with them? That family doesn't look easy to deal with, especially that brother Khan's sister. It'll be a wonder if she doesn't eat you alive. She'll only think you're the one who stole her brother's life. I stared at the screen, my fingers typing quickly. We're all adults. Who gets a ticket to a wealthy family to fight for something as laughable as love? They own me, and I'm going to take back every single bit of it. As for that Gu Ming, a cold arc formed at the corner of my mouth. He enjoyed my life for 25 years. Now, it's time for him to pay it back with interest. Quitting time arrived, and people in the office left one after another. Only I remained at my desk, dealing with the never-ending work. Gu Mingyu swaggered over and tossed his Ferrari keys on my desk. Hey, Jiangzhe, you heard what my sister said, right? Go take my car for a spin. Remember to fill up the tank, 98 octane. Don't get it wrong, you can't afford to pay for it. His arrogant, condescending face was a stark contrast to the name on the test report in my mind. I slowly raised my head and looked at him, without the usual subservient agreement. I picked up the keys, and in his stunned gaze, I stood up and walked over to him. Then right in front of him, I let my hand go slack. The keys fell with a clatter into the half-full trash can beside us. Want to take the car for a spin? I leaned in close to him and said word by word, "Go get it yourself." Gu Mingyu's eyes widened in an instant. He probably never thought I would dare to speak to him like that. "Jiangxia, are you fucking crazy?" he shrieked, pointing at my nose. I ignored him, picked up my coat, and turned to leave. At the door, I stopped and looked back at Gu Mingyu, whose face was flush crimson. "Oh, right. Forgot to tell you," I said. "From today on, you can wipe your own ass." With that, I walked out of the place that had disgusted me for 3 years without a backward glance. Downstairs, a black Rolls-Royce Phantom was parked quietly. The driver, dressed in a black suit, saw me, immediately got out, and respectfully opened the car door for me. "Young Master Jiang, we've been waiting for you for a long time." The Rolls-Royce drove smoothly down the road, shutting out the hustle and bustle of the city. I leaned back against the soft leather seat, watching the streetscape recede rapidly outside the window, my heart calmer than it had ever been. The driver, who was also the head of the legal team that had texted me, was named Zhang. Lawyer Zhang glanced at me in the rearview mirror and spoke cautiously. "Young Master Jiang, the chairman and madam are already waiting for you at the villa." I grunted in acknowledgement, saying nothing more. The so-called chairman and madam were my biological parents, Gu Yuanshan and Zhao Wenjun. The thought of facing them brought no anticipation, only a cold, barren desert in my heart. Could a 25-year absence be remedied with a simple, "We took the wrong baby"? The car entered a heavily guarded villa district, finally stopping in front of a brilliantly lit European-style mansion. "Young Master Jiang, we've arrived." I pushed the car door open, took a deep breath, and stepped onto the land that should have been mine. In the living room, a well-maintained middle-aged couple stood awkwardly. Seeing me enter, their faces were immediately filled with complex emotions, guilt, embarrassment, and a hint of almost imperceptible scrutiny. They must be Gu Yuanshan and Zhao Wenjun. "Xiaozhi, you're back." Zhao Wenjun spoke first, her eyes red and her voice trembling. She tried to take my hand, but I sidestepped her with an imperceptible movement. Her hand froze in midair, her expression growing even more awkward. Gu Yuanshan coughed, breaking the dead silence. "It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. You've suffered all these years." He sounded like he was reading from a script, full of formulaic pleasantries. I curled my lips into a sarcastic smile. "Suffered? Not really. Working a 997 schedule, slaving away for your precious son, was quite fulfilling." My words were like a needle, viciously piercing their hypocritical masks. Zhao Wenjun's face instantly turned deathly pale, and Gu Yuanshan's brows furrowed tightly. Just then, a cold voice came from the top of the stairs. "You're Jiangxia." I looked up. Gu Yao was standing on the second-floor landing, looking down at me, her eyes filled with hostility and vigilance. Beside her stood Gu Mingyu, whom I had just humiliated. Seeing me, Gu Mingyu acted as if he had found his backbone and immediately pointed at me, yelling, "Sis, it's him. He threw my car keys in the trash at the company today and told me to get them myself." Gu Yao's gaze grew colder. She walked down the stairs slowly, each step feeling like it was treading on my heart. "Jiangxia, I don't care what your identity is, and I don't care how guilty Mom and Dad feel towards you," she said, stopping in front of me, her aura so powerful it was suffocating. "But you listen to me clearly. Mingyu is my brother. No one has dared to lay a finger on him since he was little. You wronged him today, so you must apologize to him." I looked at her beautiful face and found it utterly ridiculous. This was my biological sister, a good sister who would condemn her own brother without distinguishing right from wrong, all for the sake of an imposter. Apologize? I laughed a loud laugh. "CEO Gu, have you mistaken something? Why should I apologize to a thief who stole my life?" "You." Gu Yao's expression changed instantly. "Cease. Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said?" Gu Mingyu fanned the flames from his side. "He's just an ungrateful wolf. He just came back to fight for our family's inheritance." "Shut up." Gu Yuanshan finally couldn't take it anymore and roared. He glared at Gu Mingyu, then turned to me, his tone softening slightly. "Xiaozhi Mingyu, he's been spoiled by us. Don't lower yourself to his level. Yao Yao too. She's just very protective of her brother. I watched this family's performance with cold eyes, my stomach churning. One playing good cop, the other playing bad cop. What a fine family ethics drama. Chairman Gu, I deliberately used a distant form of address. I didn't come here today to listen to your nonsense. We can take our time settling the accounts of the past 25 years. But right now, I'm hungry. I surveyed the magnificent living room, my gaze finally settling on the long dining table. Surely the Gu family wouldn't begrudge me. Your own son who's been living astray? A single dinner? My words stunned everyone. They probably hadn't expected me to make such a down-to-earth request at such a tense moment. Gu Yuanshan was the first to react, hurriedly instructing the servants. Quick, go prepare dinner. Bring out the best ingredients we have. The meal was eaten in unusual silence. Gu Mingyu glared at me the entire time with a murderous look in his eyes, while Gu Yao wore a frosty expression as if I owed her millions. Only Gu Yuanshan and Zhao Wenjun kept putting food in my bowl, their faces plastered with ingratiating smiles. I accepted everything, eating with a clear conscience. After dinner, Gu Yuanshan cleared his throat and finally got to the point. Xiaozhe, look, since you're back, you can't keep living outside. I've already had the butler tidy up the east guest room. You can move in tonight. Also, your current job, it's not suitable. How about this? Come to the company tomorrow. I'll arrange a position for you. You can start from the bottom to familiarize yourself with the company's business. Start from the bottom. I sneered inwardly. Sounds nice, but isn't it just a way to keep me under their watch? Before I could speak, Gu Yao interjected. Dad, it's fine for him to join the company, but we can't give him too important a position. He doesn't know anything. What if he messes things up? Gu Mingyu immediately chimed in. That's right, Dad. The company isn't a garbage dump. Not just anyone can get in. I put down my chopsticks and wiped my mouth with a napkin. Chairman Gu, I looked at Gu Yuanshan, my eyes calm and unreadable. I'm not interested in starting from the bottom. However, I heard the company has a recent bad debt with that notorious deadbeat from the west side, Li Sanpao, for 5 million, and no one has been able to collect it yet. Why don't you just give this task to me? The moment I spoke, the entire dining room fell silent. Everyone looked at me as if I were a fool. Li Sanpao was a known tough nut, notoriously difficult to deal with. The Gu Corporation had sent several groups of people, all of whom were sent packing by him. Some were even beaten and hospitalized. Gu Mingyu was the first to laugh out loud. Ha ha! Jiangzhe, have you lost your mind? You dare to go after Li Sanpao's money? Who do you think you are? Gu Yao also frowned, a hint of contempt in her eyes. Jiangzhe, I admit you're a little clever, but in the face of absolute power, none of that is useful. Li Sanpao is not someone you can handle. Even Gu Yuanshan, who had been wanting to compensate me, looked troubled. Xiaozhe, this task is too dangerous. Let's pick another one. I shook my head, stood up, and my gaze swept over everyone present. This is the one. Give me 3 days. If I can't get it back, I will leave the Gu family immediately and never set foot in here again. But if I paused, a meaningful smile playing on my lips. If I get it back, I want the position of Deputy Director of the Marketing Department. Chapter 3. My words exploded like a bombshell in the Gu family living room. Deputy Director of the Marketing Department. That was the exact sinecure Gu Mingyu currently held. Gu Mingyu shot up from his chair, pointing at my nose and cursing. Jiangzhe, you're fucking dreaming. You want to steal my position? Gu Yao's face instantly darkened. She looked at me coldly. Jiangzhe, don't push your luck. I ignored the siblings and just looked calmly at Gu Yuanshan, waiting for his answer. Gu Yuanshan fell silent. His fingers tapped lightly on the mahogany tabletop, his eyes flickering between me and Gu Mingyu. On one side was the biological son he had just found, full of thorns. On the other was the adopted son he had raised for 25 years, who, though incompetent, he still had feelings for. It was a difficult choice. After a long while, he finally spoke, his voice tinged with exhaustion. All right, I agree. Dad, Gu Yao and Gu Mingyu cried out in unison. Gu Yuanshan waved his hand, silencing them. He looked at me, his gaze sharpening. 3 days. If you can get back that 5 million from Li Sanpao, the position of Deputy Director of the Marketing Department is yours. But if you fail, I'll get out on my own. I finished the sentence for him. It's a deal. The transaction was complete. I didn't spend another second in the Gu family's house, turning and leaving the villa that suffocated me. The next day, instead of reporting to the Gu Corporation, I took a taxi straight to the west side of the city. Li Sanpao, whose real name was Li Kuei, had been a gangster in his early years before going legitimate and starting a building materials business. He was known for being brutish, unreasonable, and frequently defaulting on his debts. The people the Gu Corporation had sent before were either sweet-talked away by him or scared off by his gang of vicious thugs. Conventional methods were clearly not going to work. But I, Jiang Zhe, excelled at taking the unconventional path. I sat in a small tea house near Li Sanpao's company for a whole day, observing the people coming and going. As evening fell, a familiar figure appeared. Wang Bin, my good brother, a paparazzi reporter who called himself Mr. Know-It-All. Zhe, you really came? Wang Bin plopped down in the seat across from me and took a large gulp of tea. This Li Sanpao is a tough nut to crack. How are you planning to handle him? I smiled and handed him an envelope. Help me find out what's been troubling Li Sanpao lately. Or, in other words, what's his Achilles heel? Wang Bin weighed the thickness of the envelope and grinned. You got it. An hour later, Wang Bin returned with a mysterious smile on his face. Guess what I found? That old dog Li Sanpao isn't afraid of anything, except for that Persian cat of his, which he treasures like the apple of his eye. Cut. I was taken aback for a moment. That's right. I heard the cat was left to him by his late mother. It's an extremely valuable breed called Snowy Moon. Li Sanpao pampers it with the best food and drink every day. A while back, the cat got a minor skin condition, and he was so anxious he spent hundreds of thousands hiring several experts from home and abroad for consultation. An idea flashed in my mind, and a plan instantly took shape. Facci, do me a favor. The next morning, I arrived at Li Sanpao's company again. This time, I didn't storm in to demand payment like the others. Instead, I left an exquisite box at the front desk. Tell Mr. Li this is a gift for his beloved cat, Snowy Moon. It works wonders for its skin condition. The receptionist looked at me dubiously, but accepted the box nonetheless. Without another word, I turned and left. I knew the bait had been cast. Now, I just had to wait for the fish to bite. I sat in the coffee shop across from the company, dealing with the messy projects Gu Mingyu had left behind while waiting for Li Sanpao's call. That woman, Gu Yao, although protective of her own, was undeniably competent at her job. In the email she sent, every mess Gu Mingyu had made was clearly marked, and she had even attached several possible solutions. I looked at the email and sneered inwardly. Was she trying to display her power to me? Telling me that even if I joined the company, I would have to obey her? Unfortunately for her, she had miscalculated. I, Jiang Zhe, would never be anyone's dog. At 3 in the afternoon, my phone finally rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered, and a gruff male voice came from the other end. Hello, is this Mr. Jiang? This is Li Sanpao. A slight smile played on my lips. Mr. Li, hello. Mr. Jiang, that ointment you sent is fucking miraculous. My Snowy Moon skin is almost completely healed this morning after using it. Li Sanpao's voice was filled with surprise and excitement. It was just a small effort, I said lightly. Mr. Jiang, you're my great benefactor. How about this? I'll treat you to dinner tonight at Heaven on Earth. You must do me the honor. Dinner isn't necessary. I paused, then changed the subject. However, I heard you're a bit tight on cash recently, Mr. Li. That $5 million payment to the Gu Corporation has been overdue for nearly half a year, hasn't it? There was silence on the other end of the line. After a long moment, Li Sanpao chuckled dryly. Look at my memory. Mr. Jiang, don't you worry. I've had the money ready for a while. I'll have my finance department transfer it to you right away. Thank you very much then, Mr. Li. Hanging up, I looked at the bank transfer notification on my phone, a victorious smile spreading across my face. 5 million, received. I stood up, adjusted my suit, and walked out of the coffee shop. It was time to go back and take what was mine. When I pushed open the door to the Gu Corporation's marketing department office, all eyes focused on me. There was surprise, curiosity, and disdain. Gu Mingyu was leaning back with his legs crossed, bragging to a few of his lackeys. When he saw me, the smile on his face froze instantly. Jiangxia, where's the money you were supposed to get back? Don't tell me you came back empty-handed. One of the lackeys said sarcastically. The others also roared with laughter. I ignored them and walked straight to Gu Mingyu's desk. The desk was large, covered with all sorts of figurines and game consoles, but not a single document related to work. I reached out and swept the things off the desk one by one. Clank, crash. The sounds of figurines shattering and game consoles breaking apart were exceptionally jarring in the quiet office. Everyone was stunned. Gu Mingyu was trembling with anger, pointing at me and roaring, Jiangxia, what the fuck are you doing? I looked down at him, my gaze as cold as a blade. From now on, this desk is mine. And so is the position of Deputy Director of the Marketing Department. With that, I slapped the phone, displaying the transfer record against his face. 5 million, not a cent less. Now you can get lost. Chapter 4. The glaring string of numbers on the phone screen was like a loud slap across Gu Mingyu's face. The entire office fell deathly silent. Everyone stared at me, dumbfounded, as if looking at a demon who had crawled out of hell. Gu Mingyu's face turned red, then white. He pointed at me, trembling, unable to utter a word for a long moment. You. Me what? I sneered, taking a step closer. Are you trying to say I couldn't possibly get this money back? Or are you trying to say I'm not qualified to sit in this position? My gaze swept over everyone in the office. Those faces that had once mocked me were now filled with terror and unease. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Gu Mingyu suddenly shrieked. That old deadbeat Li Sanpao. How could he possibly give you the money so easily? You must have used some underhanded methods. Underhanded methods? I scoffed. Still much better than someone who can only hide behind his sister and be a good-for-nothing waste. You. Gu Mingyu was so choked by my words he nearly fainted. Just then, the office door was pushed open. Gu Yao walked in on her high heels, her face as frosty as ice. This is a company, not a wet market for you to quarrel in. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried an unquestionable authority. Gu Mingyu, as if seeing his savior, scrambled over to her. Cease. Look at him. He's insane. He not only smashed my things, but also wants to steal my position. Gu Yao's gaze fell upon me, her brows furrowed tightly. Jiangxia, even if you got the money back, it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want in the company. Do whatever I want. I laughed. Director Gu, surely you haven't forgotten our bet. If I get the money back, the position of Deputy Director of the Marketing Department is mine. Now I've done it. Isn't it time for you to fulfill your promise? Gu Yao's expression was grim. She probably never imagined that I could actually complete this impossible task. She was silent for a moment, seemingly weighing the pros and cons. The atmosphere in the office became extremely tense. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the president's final verdict. Fine. After a long while, Gu Yao finally squeezed a word out through gritted teeth. From today on, you are the Deputy Director of the Marketing Department. Her gaze shifted to Gu Mingyu, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. Mingyu, go to the project department and be a team leader for now. From Deputy Director to Team Leader. The meaning of this promotion in name, but demotion in reality, couldn't be more obvious. Gu Mingyu's face fell instantly. He looked at Gu Yao in disbelief. Cease. You can't do this to me. I'm your brother. This is the company's decision. Gu Yao's tone was indisputable, but her eyes couldn't help but avoid Gu Mingyu's gaze. I watched this drama of sibling affection with cold eyes, feeling not a ripple in my heart. I walked to the desk that now belonged to me and threw the last item that wasn't mine, a pink keyboard, into the trash can. Then I took out my laptop, turned it on, and logged into the company's system. The whole process was as smooth as flowing water, as if I were born to sit here. Gu Mingyu shot me a hateful glare and reluctantly packed his things. The way the others in the office looked at me had also completely changed. From contempt to shock and now to awe. This is the professional world. Strength is the only currency. Gu Yao did not leave immediately. She stood in front of my desk, seeming to have something to say. Jiangxia, although you're now the deputy director, I want you to understand that in the marketing department, I still call the shots. You must report all your work directly to me. This was her way of putting me in my place. I looked up. meeting her scrutinizing gaze, a playful smile touching the corners of my lips. Of course, President Gu. However, as the newly appointed deputy director, shouldn't I do something to prove my worth? What do you mean? Gu Yao watched me warily. I opened a file and pushed it in front of her. This is the proposal for the company's new product launch next quarter. I just took a look at it, and it's riddled with flaws. If we execute it according to this plan, I guarantee the company's stock will drop by at least 5 points on the day of the launch. This proposal was the one Mingyu was in charge of. Gu Yao's face instantly turned ashen. She picked up the proposal and scanned it quickly. The more she read, the uglier her expression became. In the proposal, the budget was excessive, the workflow was chaotic, and there wasn't even a basic risk assessment. This wasn't a proposal, it was a complete joke. What? What is this? Gu Yao's voice was trembling. She couldn't believe that her bright and clever brother could produce such a piece of utter trash. I leaned back in my chair, watching her at my leisure. President Gu, this is the great work produced by that bright and clever brother you spoke of. Now, do you still think he's more suitable for this position than I am? My words were like a sharp knife, plunging cruelly into Gu Yao's heart. She looked at the proposal in her hands, then back at me, her eyes filled with shock, anger, and a trace of confusion. She had always thought Gu Mingyu was just playful, but still capable when it came to work. But now, this proposal was like a resounding slap in the face, telling her she was wrong, terribly wrong. Give me 1 day. I tapped the table, interrupting her thoughts. By this time tomorrow, I will give you a brand new proposal. A proposal that can make the Gu Group's stock rise by 10 points. After speaking, I didn't look at her again, lowering my head to focus on my computer. I knew that from this moment on, the rules of this game would be set by me, and Gu Yao's pride and control were being dismantled by me, bit by bit. Chapter 5. For the next 24 hours, I locked myself in my office. The employees in the marketing department looked at me as if I were a monster. They had probably never seen a deputy director who voluntarily worked overtime late into the night on their very first day. I pulled up all the company's project data from the past 3 years, analyzing and integrating it piece by piece. That disastrous proposal Gu Mingyu had left behind, I tore it to shreds and threw it in the trash. What I intended to do was not to patch things up, but to subvert them entirely. The next afternoon, when Gu Yao appeared in my office again, I placed a brand new proposal in front of her. Take a look. Gu Yao picked up the proposal suspiciously. With just one glance, her pupils contracted sharply. My proposal completely overturned the company's original product positioning. I shifted the target audience from high-end business professionals to the younger, more vibrant Gen Z. In the proposal, I detailed the consumer habits and social patterns of Gen Z and proposed a series of highly creative online and offline integrated marketing strategies. From pre-launch hype with online influencers and KOLs, to challenge events on short video platforms, and even co-branded products with trendy labels. Every single step was precisely tailored to hit the excitement points of young people. This is too bold. Gu Yao's voice carried a faint trace of unease. The company's brand image has always been staid and high-end. Suddenly shifting to a youth-oriented focus is too risky. Risk? I laughed. President Gu, what you call staid, I see as merely being complacent and resistant to change. Today's market is constantly changing. If the Gu Group doesn't make a change, it will sooner or later be left behind by the times. Besides, I said, pointing to the last page of the proposal, I have a detailed risk assessment and contingency plan right here. Even if the market response isn't as expected, we can adjust our strategy immediately to minimize any losses. Gu Yao fell silent. She had to admit that my proposal, though bold, was logically sound and thoroughly considered. It was 100 times better than that nonsensical piece of trash from Gu Mingyu. I need time to think it over. In the end, she still wouldn't concede. Fine. I nodded. However, I suggest you hurry. I've already used my personal connections to contact a few top-tier influencers, and they are very interested in a potential collaboration. What? Gu Yao's eyes widened instantly. When did you? While you were hesitating, I cut her off, my smile tinged with provocation. Gu Yao's face alternated between pale and flushed. She stared at me, as if trying to find a flaw in my expression. But she was disappointed. My face showed only calm and confidence. Finally, like a deflated balloon, she slumped back into her chair. I need to see a concrete cooperation agreement. No problem. I knew she had compromised. This game, I had won. For the next few days, I became the busiest person in the entire Goo Corporation. I led the marketing team, working day and night to perfect the proposal and negotiate with various partners. At first, the veteran employees had their reservations about me, the vice director who had appeared out of nowhere. But soon, they were won over by my professionalism and decisive work style. In the office, you could no longer hear idle gossip, only the sound of keyboards clicking and work-related discussions. As for Mingyu, ever since he was transferred to the project department, he had completely wilted. Without his sister's protection, he couldn't make any progress in the project department, getting bogged down by trivial matters every day. I heard he tried to go cry to Gu Yao several times, but was turned away each time with the excuse that she was busy with work. One day, I was in a meeting when the office door was suddenly thrown open. Mingyu, his face flushed and reeking of alcohol, stormed in. "Jiangzhe, you despicable villain. Get the hell out here." He pointed at my nose and began to curse. "Did you say something bad about me to my sister behind my back? She's ignoring me now. Give me back my life." Everyone in the conference room was stunned. I frowned and signaled for security to drag him out. "Don't touch me." Mingyu struggled frantically. "Jiangzhe, I'm telling you, I won't let you get away with this. Everything that belongs to the Gu family is mine. Don't even think about stealing it." He yelled and screamed in the conference room like a madman. I looked at his disgraceful state without a trace of pity in my eyes. A pitiable person must have their own hateful aspects. Just as the security guard were about to drag him out of the conference room, he suddenly broke free and charged at me like a mad bull. Somehow, a fruit knife had appeared in his hand. "I'm going to kill you." The cold blade glinted menacingly under the light. Everyone screamed in terror. My pupils contracted, and I instinctively sidestepped to dodge. But I was a step too late. The blade sliced across my arm, leaving a deep, bloody gash. Blood instantly stained my white shirt. Chapter 6. A sharp pain shot through my arm, but I didn't even frown. Before Mingyu could lunge at me again, I kicked him squarely in the stomach. He let out a miserable cry and flew backward like a sack of garbage, hitting the conference room wall hard before sliding to the floor. The fruit knife in his hand clattered to the ground. The security guards swarmed in and pinned him down. The entire conference room was in chaos. I looked at the blood continuously welling from my arm, my eyes as cold as ice. Mingyu, you're really asking for death." Gu Yao arrived quickly after hearing the news. When she saw the wound on my arm and Mingyu pinned to the floor by security, her face instantly turned deathly pale. What happened here?" Her voice trembled. "Cease. Save me. He wants to kill me." Mingyu immediately started crying like a child upon seeing Gu Yao. Gu Yao's gaze shifted back and forth between us, her eyes filled with struggle and pain. I said nothing, just looked at her coldly, waiting to see how she would choose. First, send Jiangzhe to the hospital. She finally made a decision. On the way to the hospital, Gu Yao sat beside me in silence. The atmosphere in the car was suffocatingly tense. At the hospital, the doctor treated my wound, giving me 7 stitches. Fortunately, the wound isn't deep and didn't damage any muscles or bones. But you need to be careful recently. Don't get it wet, and avoid strenuous exercise, the doctor instructed. Gu Yao stood to the side, looking at my arm, which was wrapped in layers of gauze. Her lips moved as if she wanted to say something, but in the end, nothing came out. After leaving the hospital, she drove me back to the Gu family villa. Along the way, we remained silent. It wasn't until the car stopped at the villa entrance that she finally spoke. "I'm sorry." Her voice was very soft, with a hint of an almost imperceptible hoarseness. "What happened today was Mingyu's fault. I'll have him give you an explanation." I looked at her and suddenly laughed. "An explanation? What kind of explanation? Will he let me stab him too? Or will he kneel and kowtow to me in apology?" "Director Gu, you can't be so naive as to think a simple, empty 'I'm sorry' can erase everything, can you?" Gu Yao's expression turned even uglier. Then what do you want? What I want, you can't afford to give. I unbuckle my seatbelt and push the car door open. However, I can give you a piece of advice. Keep your precious little brother in line. Otherwise, next time, I can't guarantee he'll be able to stand here and talk to you in one piece. With that, I walked into the villa without looking back. In the living room, Gu Yuanshan and Zhao Wenjun were waiting anxiously. Seeing the gauze on my arm, Zhao Wenjun's tears immediately started to fall. Zhao, what happened to you? Is it serious? She rushed over, wanted to touch my wound, but not daring to. Gu Yuanshan also wore a look of tension and fury. Was it that bastard Gu Mingyu? I didn't answer, just sank wearily onto the sofa. Gu Yao followed me in, her head lowered like a child who had done something wrong. Dad, Mom, I didn't manage Mingyu well. It was him again. Gu Yuanshan slammed his hand on the table in anger. That rebellious son. I'll beat him to death today. Old Gu, don't be impulsive. Zhao Wenjun quickly grabbed his arm. Mingyu, he didn't do it on purpose. Not on purpose. I sneered. He rushed into the conference room with a knife and slashed at me. Mom, you call that not on purpose? My words left Zhao Wenjun speechless, standing there awkwardly. Looking at this family's faces, I found it incredibly ironic. This is the unbreakable bond of blood. In their eyes, the safety of their biological son was probably worth less than a single hair on that imposter's head. Dad, Mom. Gu Yao suddenly spoke, her voice calm, but carrying a sense of finality. I think it's time for Mingyu to leave the company. What? Zhao Wenjun was the first to object. Yao, you can't do this. If Mingyu leaves the company, where can he go? Then let him study abroad. Gu Yao's tone was non-negotiable. I will give him a sum of money, enough for him to live comfortably overseas. But he can no longer stay in the Gu Corporation. This was the first time I had seen Gu Yao take such a firm stance on matters concerning Gu Mingyu. It seemed today's knife attack had finally woken her up a little. Gu Yuanshan was silent for a moment, then nodded. Let's do that. No, I don't agree. Zhao Wenjun protested emotionally. This matter is settled, Gu Yuanshan declared, giving Zhao Wenjun no room to argue. I looked at Gu Yao. Her face was expressionless, but her eyes revealed a deep exhaustion and disappointment. I knew that her indulgence and coddling of Gu Mingyu were being shattered, bit, by reality. And I was the sharpest hammer. The decision to make Gu Mingyu leave the company caused a huge uproar in the Gu family. Zhao Wenjun cried for several days, and Gu Mingyu locked himself in his room, refusing to eat or drink, threatening to kill himself. But this time, Gu Yuanshan and Gu Yao's attitude was unusually firm. In the end, Gu Mingyu was semi-forcibly put on a plane abroad. The day he left, I went to see him off. At the airport, he looked at me, his eyes filled with venom and unwillingness. Jiangzhe, don't be so smug. One day I will be back, and when I am, I will crush you under my foot. I smiled, leaned in close to his ear, and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, I'll be waiting, but I'm afraid you won't get the chance. Because from the moment you leave, there will be no place for you in the Gu family anymore. Gu Mingyu's face turned deathly pale in an instant. He tried to say something, but was forcibly escorted onto the plane by the bodyguards at his side. Watching the plane disappear into the sky, I let out a long sigh of relief. This farce, which had lasted for 25 years, had finally come to an end. Without Gu Mingyu as a stumbling block, my development at the company was smooth sailing. The new product launch was an unprecedented success. On the day of the launch, the company's stock price rose accordingly, and by the closing bell, the increase had reached an astonishing 12%. I made a name for myself in one fell swoop. Throughout the entire company, no one dared to criticize me anymore. Those old employees who once looked down on me now had to respectfully call me Vice President Jiang when they saw me. Gu Yao's attitude towards me also underwent a subtle change. She was no longer on guard against me at every turn. Instead, she began to entrust me with important responsibilities at work. Our interactions, which used to be confrontational, became more and more like a normal superior and subordinate. Sometimes, in meetings, our views would coincide, and we would exchange a smile, a rare moment of unspoken understanding. One day, I was in my office handling documents when Gu Yao walked in. She handed me a file. Here is the company's market expansion plan for Europe for the next quarter. Take a look. I took the document and quickly skimmed through it. The plan was very detailed. It was clear that a lot of effort had gone into it. The plan is good. I nodded. However, I think we can reconsider the choice of partner. Oh, what are your thoughts? Gu Yao looked at me with great interest. I pointed to a name in the document. This Rosenberg Group, although powerful, is overbearing in its conduct, and its cooperation terms are harsh. I actually think another emerging investment company, Phoenix, is more suitable for us. Phoenix? Gu Yao frowned. I've heard of this company. It's growing very rapidly, but its foundation is still shallow. Isn't it too risky for us to cooperate with them? Fortune favors the bold. I smiled. Besides, I've heard that the founder of Phoenix is a very interesting person. According to my investigation, he also started from scratch and built the company to its current scale in just 3 years. His style of doing things is very similar to mine. Most importantly, I paused, looking into Gu Yao's eyes. I can handle him. Gu Yao looked at my confident appearance and fell silent for a moment. Why should I believe you? Just by the fact that my name is Jiang. My words stunned Gu Yao. She looked at me, a trace of complexity flashing in her eyes. After a long while, she nodded. Fine, I'll give you a chance. 3 days from now is Phoenix's business reception. I will take you with me. Whether or not you can win this partnership will depend on your ability. I smiled. It's a deal. On the day of the reception, I changed into a sharp suit and appeared at the venue with Gu Yao. Gu Yao wore a black evening gown tonight, which perfectly accentuated her flawless figure. The moment we appeared, we captured the attention of the entire room. Isn't that President Gu of the Gu Group? Who is that man next to her? He's so handsome. I don't know. I've never seen him before. But anyone who can accompany President Gu must be somebody. I listened to the surrounding discussions, my expression unchanged. Holding a wine glass, I moved through the crowd with Gu Yao, making pleasant conversation with various business tycoons. My composure and calmness even made Gu Yao look at me with new eyes. I didn't realize you were so comfortable in this kind of setting, she said in a low voice. After all, I'm also a member of the Gu family. I smiled, my words carrying a hidden meaning. Gu Yao's eyes flickered, but she didn't respond. Just then, a sudden commotion went through the venue. A young, handsome man, surrounded by a group of people, slowly walked in. He was the founder of Phoenix, Alex. Everyone scrambled to go up and talk to him, but they were all stopped by the bodyguard around him. He walked straight through the crowd and headed in our direction. Gu Yao's breathing instantly became a little ragged. He's coming over. I nodded, adjusted my tie, and went forward to meet him. Mr. Alex, I've heard so much about you. I extended my hand. Alex looked at me, a playful smile on his lips. He didn't shake my hand, but gave me a hug instead. Jiang, my brother, you finally decided to come see me. He spoke in perfect, fluent Mandarin. This scene made everyone present, including Gu Yao, drop their jaws in astonishment. You know each other? Gu Yao stood behind me, her voice filled with disbelief. I patted Alex on the back and said with a smile, "Let me introduce you. This is my university classmate and bunkmate, Alex. His Chinese name is Lu Feng. Would Alex call me Fengzi?" Lu Feng punched me on the arm, then turned to Gu Yao and extended his hand. "Hello, President Gu. I've long admired you. This brother of mine has mentioned you to me quite a lot." Gu Yao shook his hand mechanically, her brain still in a state of shock. The mysterious founder of Phoenix was actually Jiang, his university classmate? What a small world. All right, let's not just stand here. Let's go to my office to talk. Lu Feng slung his arm around my shoulder and, without taking no for an answer, led us to his private lounge. He closed the door, shutting out all the prying eyes from outside. "You kid, you've got some skills." Lu Feng plopped down on the sofa, looking me up and down. "How long have you been back? And you've already turned the Gu Group upside down. Even the famous Ice Queen president has become your +1. His words were teasing, causing Gu Yao's face to blush slightly. I shot him a glare. "Cut the crap. Let's talk business." All right, let's get down to business." Lu Feng dropped his playful demeanor, his expression turning serious. "I've looked at the Gu Corporation's proposal. To be honest, your sincerity is lacking." Gu Yao's heart leaped in her throat. Mr. Liu, are you referring to? Don't call me Mr. Liu, just call me Liu Feng. Liu Feng waved his hand. Your plan is still too conservative, and there's a problem with the profit sharing. My company, Phoenix, never cooperates with people who lack ambition. I smiled and took another document out of my briefcase. This is a new proposal I've drafted. Take a look. Liu Feng took the file and began to scan it quickly. The more he read, the brighter his eyes became. Holy shit, Jiang Zhe, you're a fucking genius. He slapped his thigh and stood up excitedly. This new retail plus metaverse concept is brilliant. If we pull this off, it could absolutely disrupt the entire European market. Gu Yao, standing to the side, was completely bewildered by what she was hearing. She leaned in for a look and was also stunned by the bold and futuristic ideas in the proposal. This plan was 10 times more aggressive than the one she had seen before. So, feeling ambitious, I asked, looking at Liu Feng. Yes, absolutely, Liu Feng said without hesitation. Let's go with your plan. Profit sharing, 50-50. No, I shook my head. 60-40. We get 60, you get 40. Damn it, Jiang Zhe, you're driving a hard bargain, aren't you? Liu Feng exclaimed. The core creative idea for this plan came from me. Furthermore, the subsequent technical support will need to be led by the Gu Corporation, I said slowly. Don't forget, when it comes to metaverse technology, the Gu Corporation's R&D center is a global leader. Liu Feng fell silent. He knew I was speaking the truth. Fine. 60-40 it is, he said, gritting his teeth. What can I say? We're brothers. And just like that, the deal was done. It had been so easy that Gu Yao felt like she was dreaming. Leaving the Phoenix Corporation and getting into the car, Gu Yao still looked dazed. Just how many things are you hiding from me? She asked, her eyes filled with a complex mix of emotions as she looked at me. A lot, I smiled. Which one do you want to know about? My words left Gu Yao speechless. She realized she knew nothing about this person who was, in name, her own brother. He was like an enigma, shrouded in mystery. Just when you think you've seen all of him, he always manages to bring a bigger surprise, or shock, the very next second. Jiang Zhe, she said suddenly, her voice soft. Thank you. I was taken aback for a moment, then realized she was thanking me for the deal. No need to thank me. I was just working for myself. After all, I'm a shareholder of the Gu Corporation too. A shadow passed over Gu Yao's eyes. She knew that there was, and always would be, an insurmountable chasm between us. This chasm was built from 25 years of separation, the scars left by Gu Mingyu, and even more so, the heart that had long grown cold towards this family. When we returned to the villa, Gu Yuanshan and Zhao Wenjun had already heard the news and were waiting for us in the living room. Seeing us return, Gu Yuanshan came forward excitedly. Xiao Zhe, Yao Yao, you two are incredible. You actually managed to secure the deal with Phoenix. It was all Xiao Zhe's doing, Gu Yao said with a rare display of modesty. Zhao Wenjun also stepped forward, looking at me as if she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Xiao Zhe, Mom made you some soup. Have some. I looked at the bowl she was offering but didn't take it. No, thank you. I'm not hungry. My coldness made Zhao Wenjun's eyes redden again. Just then, the butler rushed in. Master, madam, it's terrible news. Young Master Mingyu. Something has happened to young Master Mingyu abroad. What? The butler's words exploded in the living room like a clap of thunder. The soup bowl in Zhao Wenjun's hand crashed to the floor, shattering into pieces. Mingyu, what happened to him? Her voice was trembling. The young master was street racing abroad and got into a car accident. He's in the hospital now. They're trying to save him, but his condition is critical. The world went black for Zhao Wenjun, and she fainted. The entire Gu household instantly descended into chaos. Gu Yuanshan simultaneously had someone call the family doctor and arrange for immediate flights abroad. Gu Yao was also in a panic. Although she was disappointed in Gu Mingyu, he was still the younger brother she had doted on since childhood. Hearing this news suddenly threw her into disarray. Only I stood there like an outsider, watching everything unfold coldly. Street racing? A quel accident? I wasn't surprised at all. It was only natural that a spoiled piece of trash like Gu Mingyu, in an environment with no one to restrain him, would do something out of line. Gu Yuanshan and Gu Yao left for the airport immediately. Before leaving, Gu Yuanshan temporarily handed over all of the company's affairs to me. Xiaozhe, the family. The company, I'm leaving it to you for now. His voice was filled with exhaustion and helplessness. I nodded, don't worry. After they left, the enormous villa instantly became empty and deserted. I sat alone on the sofa, looking at the shattered porcelain and spilled soup on the floor, my heart completely untroubled. This was karma. For the next few days, I became the de facto supreme decision-maker of the Gu Corporation. I decisively carried out a series of reforms in the company. I dismissed the loafers who were occupying positions without doing any work and promoted a group of capable and energetic young people. The atmosphere in the company was completely refreshed. Everyone was both respectful and fearful of me, this iron-fisted vice president. A week later, Gu Yao returned alone. Her face was gaunt, and she had lost a lot of weight. How is he? I asked. His life was saved, but his legs are broken. He'll have to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Her voice was calm, devoid of any discernible emotion. Oh, I responded, not asking any more questions. How has the company been recently? She changed the subject. Everything is normal. Silence fell between us. After a long while, she spoke again. Jiang's mom and dad's intention is to bring Mingyu back. Bringing him back is fine. I nodded. The Gu family is big enough. We don't lack a bowl and a pair of chopsticks for him. They also want to transfer 5% of the company's shares to Mingyu's name as a provision for the rest of his life. My pupils contracted in an instant. It's here. It's finally here. I shot to my feet, staring daggers at Gu Yao. What did you say? Say it again. My gaze was like two sharp knives, making Gu Yao involuntarily take a step back. This is a last resort. After all, Mingyu is the son they raised for 25 years. Her voice was a bit unsteady. So, I sneered. So, you're going to give what belongs to me, the real son, to an imposter? Gu Yao, have you forgotten why I came back to this family in the first place? I didn't come back for your ridiculous family affection. I came back to take back everything that belongs to me. And now, you want to give my things to the scumbag who almost killed me? My voice grew louder and louder, eventually turning into a roar. All the grievances, anger, and resentment pinned up in my heart completely erupted at this moment. Gu Yao was frightened by my imposing manner. Her face was deathly pale, and she couldn't utter a single word. You tell them, I said, pointing to the door, enunciating each word. They want the shares? Fine. Have him trade his life for them. No, one life isn't enough. Have him work like a beast of burden for me in his next life, and a life after that, to repay the debt he owes me. After speaking, I grabbed my coat and stormed out, slamming the door without looking back. I needed to cool down. I drove my car, roaming aimlessly through the streets. Finally, I parked the car by the riverside. I lit a cigarette, watching the shimmering light on the river surface, but my mood refused to calm down. My phone rang. It was Wang Bin. I heard you turned the Gu family upside down. His voice carried a hint of schadenfreude. You get news pretty fast. Of course, don't you know what your brother does for a living? Wang Bin paused, his tone turning serious. What are you planning to do? What am I planning to do? I blew out a smoke ring. Let them stew. They want to give it away, don't they? I'll make sure they don't get their wish. I want them to know who's really in charge of the Gu family now. After hanging up, my gaze became incredibly resolute. Since you are unjust, don't blame me for being unrighteous. The game, from this moment on, has truly begun. Chapter 10. The next day, I went to work at the company as usual. It was as if the person who had flown into a rage at the villa yesterday wasn't me. I convened an emergency meeting with all the company's senior executives. At the meeting, I announced a decision that shocked everyone. I propose we activate the company's poison pill plan. The poison pill plan, also known as a shareholder rights plan, is an anti-takeover measure. Once an outsider attempts a hostile takeover of the company's shares, the plan is triggered, diluting the acquirer's equity by issuing a large number of new shares, thereby securing control of the company. This plan was something I had secretly instructed the legal department to draw up after taking over the company, just in case. I didn't expect it would come in handy so soon. Vice President Jiang, why is this happening? A director asked, confused. The company is developing so well right now. Why activate this plan? I smiled and tossed a document onto the conference table. Because someone wants to mess with the company's foundation. That document was a letter of intent signed by Gu Yuanshan and Zhao Wenjun, intending to transfer 5% of the shares to Gu Mingyu for free. Although it wasn't legally binding yet, it was enough to explain everything. The conference room instantly exploded into chaos. This is absurd. Giving company shares to someone who has contributed nothing to the company and even nearly brought disaster upon it. I strongly object. The executives were furiously agitated. I waited until they had mostly finished speaking before knocking on the table. Everyone be quiet. I am activating this plan not to discuss it with you, but to inform you. From now on, any abnormal transfer of equity will trigger the poison pill. When that happens, the equity of everyone present will be severely diluted. I don't think any of you want to see that outcome, do you? My words were like a bucket of cold water poured over everyone's heads. They instantly understood my meaning. I was using everyone's interest to hold Gu Yuanshan and Zhao Wenjun's decision hostage. Either they give up that ridiculous idea, or we all go down together. This was an open conspiracy, a blatant scheme they couldn't refuse. After the meeting, I received a call from Gu Yuanshan. On the other end, his voice was furious and exasperated. Jiangzhe, what on earth are you trying to do? Are you trying to destroy the Gu family? The ones destroying the Gu family aren't me. It's you. My voice was as cold as ice. I've said it before, no one is to touch a single bit of what's mine. You didn't believe me, so I can only use my own methods to make you remember this lesson. You rebellious son. Right back at you. I hung up the phone directly. I knew I had won this battle. 3 days later, Gu Yao found me. She looked even more haggard. My parents agreed, she said in a low voice. They've given up the idea of transferring the shares. A wise choice. They want to see you. I don't have time. Jiangzhe. Gu Yao looked up, a hint of pleading in her eyes. I'm begging you, please. Go back and see them. Mom, she hasn't eaten in days. I looked at her, not a trace of emotion stirring in my heart. If they had known this would happen, why did they do it in the first place? But in the end, my heart softened. Or perhaps, I want to see the look of regret on their faces. Back at the villa, the atmosphere in the living room was so oppressive it was hard to breathe. Gu Yuanshan and Zhao Wenjun sat on the sofa, looking as if they had aged 10 years in an instant. Seeing me, Zhao Wenjun struggled to stand up, only to fall weakly back down. Her voice was incredibly hoarse. I ignored her and walked straight to Gu Yuanshan. What do you want from me? Gu Yuanshan looked at me, his eyes holding an extremely complex mix of emotions. There was anger, helplessness, regret, and a trace of fear. He probably never imagined that he would be pushed to this point by his own son. We were wrong. It took a long while before he managed to squeeze these words through his teeth. We shouldn't have touched your things. I laughed, a laugh filled with sarcasm. Don't you think it's a little late to be saying this now? Little Zhe, we know we've wronged you. Zhao Wenjun sobbed uncontrollably beside him. Give us a chance to make it up to you, please. Make it up. I looked at them and said, word by word, all right. From today onwards, the Gu Corporation is under my command. You two can just enjoy your retirement in peace. As for Gu Yao, my gaze shifted to the woman standing aside, her face deathly pale. She can continue to stay at the company. However, she will start as my assistant. My words made everyone present suck in a sharp breath. The president of the Gu Corporation becoming an assistant? This was simply absurd. Jiangzhe, don't go too far. Gu Yao finally couldn't take it anymore and shrieked. I looked at her, a cruel smile playing on my lips. Too far. We're just getting started. My dear sister, our game has only just begun. I walked up to her, reached out, and gently lifted her chin. From now on, you are no longer the high and mighty President Gu. You are just my assistant, Gu Yao. You will do whatever I tell you to do. Understand? Gu Yao trembled all over, tears of humiliation welling up in her eyes. But in the end, she still squeezed a word out through her gritted teeth. Yes. I smiled with satisfaction. I walked to the French windows of the villa and looked out at the business empire that belonged to me. Wang Bin was right. Who gets the ticket to a wealthy family to fight for that ridiculous thing called love? What I wanted for the whole world to surrender at my feet. Now I have achieved it. Dear, could you rate this story in the comments section? Using a 10-point scale, please. If you like this type of story, please follow.